Okay, we're back, and as promised, we are going to take out the text area that we're using as our blog editor, and we're going to replace it with VS Code. So it's not exactly VS Code, it's the editor behind VS Code, which is called Monaco. And it's open source, and you can paste it into your HTML page, and it's essentially VS Code. You won't know much difference about it as we're going to use it. Of course, VS Code is much more full-featured. But for our purposes, this is going to work great, and it's going to work very similar to VS Code. All right, let's go ahead and get started. What I've done here is I've added another bullet point, VS Code as our editor, and we're going to use, again, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to get that editor into our index.html page, replacing our text area, which is acting right now as our editor. It is a little bit limited. It doesn't have all the nice features that VS Code has, so this is going to be a really strong upgrade for us. All right, let's get started. Okay, here's the blog editor that we had, and here's our text area, and we can enter HTML, and we've got a preview. So what we're going to do is change out this area right here and put Monaco in. So Monaco is the name for the editor that powers VS Code. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is let's go and find Monaco. So Monaco editor. And we come across Microsoft open source. So Microsoft GitHub IO Monaco editor. And when we go here, we see that the Monaco editor is the code editor that powers VS Code. That's great. There's features described here, which are a lot. It's got IntelliSense, validation, basic syntax, and colorization. So we're going to leverage, and look at all these languages. This is great, and this is what's built into Monaco. We're going to leverage HTML, and this is white. So that's the white version of it. And there's also a dark version. And this is all built in. So this is what we're going to be using as our editor, almost like this. So let's go ahead and let's get to their code. So here is for more information at the Monaco editor repo. So find more information at the Monaco editor repo. So here we go. So this is GitHub, and this is the Monaco source code. And we see here they're talking more about the full-featured stuff and how to try it out. Now, there is a thing in for front-end development, JavaScript, package managers. So package managers are things that manage many dependencies, similar to Maven for Java. We haven't gotten into Java much other than installing Spring Boot so far. When we do, we'll be using a package manager that's called Maven. Maven does a lot. It's actually a build tool, but it manages our packages as well, our package dependencies. Now, JavaScript have something similar, and there's various versions of package managers for JavaScript, just like there are for Java. And what's nice about Monaco is they have samples here. So for whatever package manager you're running, they probably have a sample for it here, and it gives you the code. So let's just pick any of them. Well, let's pick one that I might know how to use. Let's see. How about Vite and React? So this is a Vite build tool. It does package management too, and then React. Now notice there's a lot of files here to manage, and then there's source. It's got components, which has the editor in TypeScript, and a couple of other files here. And so that's that version. I selected a much more simple one to me, and it's more straightforward. It's just got an index.html page. And what you see here is something very similar to what we've worked with before. Remember, in Bootstrap, we added CSS. And for Bootstrap, again, we added a script tag. In this one, we've got a few script tags to add to get Monaco loaded. But here is code very similar to what we did for our text area. We just put in a text area, and this is how you would do that in JavaScript. We're getting the element by ID, and for us, it would be called editor. And then then Monaco is being installed into it. We're going to do something different. And let's go ahead and get our code ready to take in this. We're going to paste in this, and we're going to fix it. Actually, let's paste this in now. So I'm just going to copy it. And then let's go over to our editor. And on our index.html page, we have our current code. And here is the text area we are going to replace. So we're going to take that out, and we're going to put a div in, and it's going to have the ID editor. So we need to make a couple of changes to the Monaco sample. Let's paste it in there for reference. We're just going to take the pieces that we need, because what we have is an index.html page that we made, and we've got some stuff we want to keep. And then we've got the sample from Monaco on how to put that in. We're going to take the pieces that we need from that and bring them into our index page. So let's go ahead and do that now. Pieces we need. We need the CSS link. So let's copy it there like that. And we're just going to Control C in Windows and Command C on Mac. And I'm going to paste it right below Bootstrap. So I'm going to put it right there. So we'll keep Bootstrap, Monaco, our stuff, and then that's for CSS. And then down at the bottom for JavaScript, we'll do the same thing. All right, and so you notice the formatting's a little off, so we'll just go ahead and right-click and format. And now it looks better. And let's remove that line. OK, same thing with the JavaScript part. We're going to paste it right here after Bootstrap's JavaScript. And we're going to take a few things here. JavaScript, we're going to take all of these and just copy. So Control C, and then I'm going to paste it right after Bootstrap. So I'm going to hit Enter there. Back up, and maybe it'll keep the formatting. No, not so good. So let's go ahead and reformat, and that looks good. I'm going to save. OK, so now we've got the code in there, and now it's time to piece some things together. Now you'll notice by looking down here, Monaco editor create document get element by ID container. Ours is called editor. And that is a text area right now, and that is not what we need it to be. We need it to be a div, because that's what they are using. So we can just simply swap this out. Or we can just retype it. It's not a form control anymore. It's just a div, so we don't need this. And we change the ending tag to a div. OK, so now we've got a div named editor, and that's where Monaco is going to sit. And so we're going to do this right here. So I'm going to change container, which is what the ID is in their example, and we're going to change this to, my mouse sometimes clicks randomly. Change this to editor. OK, and it's going to load the value, which is some JavaScript sample code and JavaScript language. So that's going to give us colorization on the language. So it looks like we got everything we needed out of Monaco. Now, one thing you might notice here is these node modules. Remember when I talked about package managers for JavaScript? What they do is they create a folder called node modules, and they download the dependencies into that folder. So in this case here, these script tags are referencing something like that. I'm trying to keep this as light as possible and not introduce a package manager yet. We might do that in a future project, but I think this project's small enough to not need it. It's a balancing act. Once you get too many dependencies in the old script way of doing things, you introduce a package manager. And I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're getting closer to it. So what we need to do now is we're going to use what's called a CDN. Now, a CDN is something that's hosted in the cloud or on the internet, and it's pretty much the same thing as these package managers are doing down here. They're loaded up there, and you just get them instead of having to build them and download them here. Now, a package manager actually is going to go get it from locations like that and bring it down to your local machine. So we're going to use it straight from the CDN. And to figure out what address we need, because this is our local machine, we actually need it to go to the cloud. We're going to do something very similar to what Bootstrap does. And Bootstrap is using JS deliver. Let's do JS deliver Monaco, which you can see I've done before. And here is the folder. And here is JS deliver for Monaco editor version 0.48. And that's the editor. All right, and here's the CSS. We already have a lot of that stuff. We just really need to replace this thing right here. And I'll show you why in a moment. So I'm just going to Control C that. And see where it says Monaco editor here, and then it goes into /min/vs. All right, let's look back at our code here. We've got Monaco editor here, /min/vs. So we need to replace this part of it, which is what we copied. So if I paste that in there, we've got the full URL to Monaco with this version on the CDN. So if I can paste the same thing here, And the same thing here. So basically every place we see this. And one more up here. And there's one more for the CSS right here. Okay, so in theory, this should do something. I'm hoping it should load the editor. Oh, we missed one here. Oh wait, that's not our code. That's the sample code. We don't need this anymore. So let's remove that because that won't work. All right. So now that that's gone, we should be able to start up our server. And if you haven't, I'm going to stop this one so we could go ahead and restart it. Not that we need to restart it, but just so that you know how to start it if yours isn't running anymore. So you go to blog editor application, and then we've got debug and run. We're just going to click run on this case. And that should start Spring Boot, which is going to serve our web page. All right, and that should be loaded. So let's go back to our blog right here. And when we refresh, this should change to something. Hey, look at that. It is the Monaco editor, and notice that the function is blue and these words are red, so it is actually doing syntax highlighting on JavaScript. So as I type, oh, look at that, the preview is kind of working. It's not exactly the same, so it's not the right event that we're capturing, or at least the right value. Something's not right. But you'll notice that, okay, HTML is not quite right either, because we, remember, have the language set as JavaScript, and if I type hello here, it is somewhat working on the preview, but this isn't quite it. If I backspace here, notice how that's not doing anything. So we've got the wrong event. All right, so we need an event for Monaco. Let's go back to our code and let's fix a few things. All right, one thing we noticed, we're not using JavaScript right now, and this is an example, so we're just going to cut that out. We don't need that value. Let's just start off as blank, and let's give this an HTML as the language. And let's see what we get now. Our preview is still going to be wrong, but let's see if we are getting help with. Notice how these are HTML tags now. So Monaco is helping us. This is basically VS Code. So the editor behind VS Code, Monaco, is doing what it does in VS Code, and it's helping us with our HTML. So HTML here. Notice how that's helping. That's nice. Okay, so that's great. So now let's fix the preview. So what we need to fix on preview is this event is not right. So we're getting the editor element, that's our div, and it's adding a listener for input. So somehow it's capturing input, but it's not quite the right event. So let's go ahead and do a search here for Monaco editor event. Oh, I have searched for this before, so event, but I want to start from scratch. So event for content changed. And let's see if it gives us anything. Monaco editor on event changed. Let's go ahead and click on this. Oh, here's the API. Let's see if that helps us at all. Okay, it's pretty technical. I think this is above our heads at this stage, so let's go ahead and go back a little bit. And Stack Overflow's okay. You need to read the information that's there to see if it helps. And let's go ahead and click on that. Sometimes it's a little easier to understand than the documentation if you haven't seen documentation like that before. So someone here was looking for something similar, and they found on did change content. And that's on the model, and that could work. Let's see. To expand on Gil's answer, there are two different methods, the one that he found and then this one. So the first one that Gil found is only going to change on a particular model, whereas did change model on did change model content will apply to all models. So that's good, but not a code example. Here's a code example here. So Monaco, ours is called Monaco, our editor, and here's the listener. And here's the function, and they're calling render, which is doing something. So this is similar to what we want. So I'm just going to copy this because I don't think I'll remember all those words. And we'll go into our code here, and let's comment out this. because we don't need it right now, and actually we might not need it at all, but it's there for reference. And let's, I'm going to just paste in that word so I don't forget it. And what we have is we have an editor, and notice how editor is a variant up there. And so let's go ahead and move this up here, and we'll do it right underneath that. So we have editor, and this is a function on the editor. And now we can receive a call when this happens here, like this. And let's just go ahead and put an event in there. And now we're receiving something. Don't know exactly what it is yet, so we'll do the old trick that we used before. Let's just console log what we get back. We know it's the editor. We don't need the event yet that we know of. And get value is the value of the editor. And if we log this out, let's see what we get now. Does something happen? OK, and to actually see the log output, we need to open our inspect. And we've got that there. Console's down at the bottom here. So, and it's empty. So let's type. OK, so it is showing this. So as I keep typing, let's see what happens if I pick doc type. OK, it picked all that. Let's see if I type in HTML. OK, that is actually working. So we're kind of at the stage now where we were with our text area. We need to put the value in the preview and see how that works. So back to our editor and our VS Code editor for our project, not for the editor for the blog. OK, so now we know that the value is the right thing. So let's do the same thing that we did down here. We're going to get the preview and set its inner HTML to the value. So we're just going to go to the beginning here, paste that in, and get the value, and save. And let's see how that works. So if I refresh, all right, we've got an empty editor, and let's type some HTML. And hello. And notice that VS Code or Monaco is now helping us, whereas before our text area can't do this. This editor is helping us. This is a paragraph, and this is where we started. And see that finished it for me. All right, and one of the problems that we had with the text area is that when we tabbed, it didn't tab, it tabbed away. Notice how we can do that now. And we can do tab multiple. So now we can keep the indentation that we need. I just deleted everything. Control Z, bring it back. Control Z, bring it all the way back. And also we have this. We have the command palette just like we had in VS Code, and we can format document. So let's do something else here. Let's do a unordered list, which we tried before and when we were testing. Now notice the tabs are set to 4. And in our VS Code editor, we set it to 2 at some point. Let's just type 1. And notice it is helping us as we go with the tags that it knows about, which is probably all of them. All right, let's close there. And I just have to do that, and it closes. Now, notice the spacing here is 4. So the same things we did before, except now we don't have the little handy button down at the bottom, because that's what VS Code adds to Monaco. We'll just hit the palette, and let's say change tab display size. That works. And just like the menu we had before, we'll set it to 2. And then we'll right-click and format document, and those list items should format. There we go. So now we've got formatting, we've got tabbing, we've got indentation, and everything else we needed. One last thing we're going to do. All right, so this editor is capable of themes. So let's go ahead and make this a dark theme. And just save. And we no longer need this code down here. It'll just get confusing if we leave it. OK, and let's see what we get. Dark theme. And we'll do H1. This is working. OK, we've got Monaco plugged into our blog editor. And that's it. Thanks for watching.